biggest question I have, because it's really troubling me, is where's Rickie Fowler? What happened to Rickie? What happened? Why is he not up there consistently week in and week out? And there's like the Players Championship, he's not eligible, past champion. No, you can't play. And when he does play, he's just not. He's either missing the cut or just barely making the cut. And then he's in contention for a minute and he's gone. What has happened? That's my biggest question right now, is what has happened. And I think I have an idea of what has happened. And I want to know what you guys' thoughts, like, for whatever it's worth, like, let me know, why do you think his game has slid in recent months, last year or so? Like, what happened? I want to know your thoughts. I have my thoughts, but I want to know, like, just what do you think is the root cause of all of this? And I've always had this theory of what causes players to go up and down. So for me personally, little things like, okay, for 2022, I was under par for the year, and we're in March now. And I was great start to the year, like my best start of any golf year, since, if I keep track, like, I've been under par for the year. So, I shot 1 under, 2 under, just right there, 1 over, but overall, under par for the year. So doing really well. Then I'm like, okay, one day I went out and I was playing golf. I was hitting the fairways. I've been hitting over 70% of my fairways. I've been keeping track of my 18 Birdies app, 70% of the fairways, and over 70% of the greens. I mean, my stats are pretty ridiculous. I've never hit 70% of fairways consistently, and I've been doing it all year. Even this, so I'm playing around, I'm hitting like 72% of the fairways, but this round I hit like 40%, 44% of the greens. So less than half. It was ridiculous. I shot like an 82. I was like, well, there goes my under par for the year stat, right? And I'm like, what happened? I felt horrible. And I'm like, am I sick? Like, do I got the disease? Like, what's wrong? Like, after 9 holes, I was so weak. I ate 2 sandwiches. I never even eat during a round. So I'm like, and I just was like lightheaded. I had nothing. I'm like, what's going on? I thought I was sick, but I wasn't sick. And I realized, like, during that week, I don't know, I got on this bean soup kick. So I was eating bean soup all week. I loved it. I love beans. And I started making beans at home, and I made the soup. It was so delicious, and it was awesome. But there was no a bean. So a bean isn't a complete protein. And so I didn't have any protein in my diet. No protein. I had like an incomplete protein. So anyways, long story short, my eating was off of normal, and it really affected me at the end of the week on a Friday when I went and played. So I was like, oh, that's horrible. So then I fixed that, stopped eating the bean soup, went out the next week, and I was back to my normal playing. And I was thinking, dang, that one little tweak in my diet really messed me up. Like, physically, I couldn't do it. So what am I saying? Is Rickie's diet off? It could be. It could be what he's eating. Now, because just what I'm saying, though, is little tiny things in golf can really mess you up. So then I always look at, okay, people whose games slide, and I try to predict it. Like, I think I did this with Jordan Spieth. I said, his game's going to slip here in a minute. And it did. And then he went and started tweaking his swing, and it took a while for him to come back. And luckily, Jordan Spieth is basically kind of back for the most part, and he's up there more consistently now on those leaderboards, which is great to see. So what did Rickie do? Okay, so Rickie he got married, and that's kind of one of the things I look at and say, look, your life is going to change here big time, so your game is going to slip. And then I just hope that you don't do the next thing that most people do when their game slips a little bit is they start looking at their swing. So your game slips because of like, okay, my game slipped because my diet was off for 1 week. And so I could have went and looked at my swing and said, let me tweak my swing. But luckily, my wife says to me, I think you had no energy because of what you were eating all week. I'm like, oh, okay, let me first change that back to my normal eating routine. And so I did that, and guess what? My swing's back. Easy fix, right? But when you go and you change your life, I'm not saying you shouldn't get married, Rickie, but when you do that, your whole world changes. Everything changes. What you eat changes when you get married because your things are different. And when I got married, our meals change. My whole diet changed when I got married. Now we're eating at dinner together, certain meals. My wife starts cooking for us. And so all of that changed. All of these things change. And golf is so fickle. So many little tiny things can affect what happens in your game. What time you wake up, what time you exercise. Did you change when you started working out? Do you work out in the morning and then now you work out in the evening? What changed? What are you eating? Your diet, obviously that's going to have an effect on it. If you work out, maybe you didn't work out before. We know Rickie's wife is an athlete, a pole vaulter. So is your workouts changed now that you're married? And that will affect your golf game. Okay, you've had a child. That's going to affect your game as well. All these little things are going to have a big impact on your game. I always say, like, just look, ride that out, let that settle, and your game will come back. But what most of these guys do is they start tweaking their swings at that point, thinking, okay, my game is off, so therefore my swing must need some refinement. And they start making big changes. And so then now you have more than one thing to deal with. Because you make a swing change, your game's going to really dramatically change. And that's going to take time to fix. Plus your whole life circumstance is going to take time to fix. So now you've got to somehow figure all that out while you're playing golf at the highest level, mentally have to be there focused each and every week. And so then mentally, you miss a cut and you get depressed. And you're like, and you think, oh, it's over. It's over. And then that week in and week out, you have a good round, bad round. Your confidence is fluctuating not week to week, but round to round. And then that shrinks from shot to shot. You hit a bad shot, you're like, here we go again. And then one bad shot takes your brain off into left field and you're a mess. So all these things, compile on top of each other. So it's that one thing. Like if I took that bean soup and said, man, let me go work on my swing because I couldn't hit greens. I'm in the middle of the fairway, I need work on my irons, and I just went and started messing around with my swing. Well, okay, just because I couldn't hit a green doesn't mean my swing was off. It means my swing could have been off because I wasn't eating right. So we can't change everything based on little or life circumstances. Like we really have to get to the root of it. And that's what we have to work on. And part of the root of this thing is when your life changes in a big way, you just have to ride that out and don't change anything. Just keep doing what you're doing. Try to have the routine that you had beforehand while you have a new wife, a new family, kids, all these things that happen as we get older and our life's circumstance change. So where's Rickie? Hopefully Rickie's not in swing change land because life changed. Life changed. Let life change. Ride that out. You're fine. Mentally, just be okay. And don't go changing everything just because other things change. kind of a little complicated. That's my thought on Rickie. Where'd Rickie go? I hope mentally he could come back from all the changes, because I know he's working on some swing change stuff. Unfortunately, he was fine. He was fine. Think about Rickie when he first comes on tour. He was hot. I mean, he was in playoffs early on that first year, and then he wins, and he won the Players Championship. Like, all of that. That's what we kind of got. Like, let's just get back to that guy. What were you doing, just physically, mentally, and emotionally there? I'd go back. I'd try to get there first and have that consistency, and the rest will work itself out. It's not the swing. It's not the swing. It's all up in here, and your routine and what you're putting in your body. Your swing will find itself. Let me know what you guys think the issue is, because I'm rooting for Rickie to get back up there, because he's fun to watch on the course when he's in contention. But let me know what you think.